I'm never really good at these introductions. Basically, right today, I feel like going over just a wee, very basic animation kind of tutorial to the animation. Um, I reckon I don't know if I'll get to all 12 principles animation, your kind of foundations, but I think the kind of the beginnings, I'll cover those. I'll bring them up and everything. And to do that, I'm going to show you how to do the ball trick. And the ball trick, I think, it's deceptively simple because
Uh-huh.
it's like it's what you want to. Sorry, ignore this. I did that there because I was waiting. But the ball trick is deceptively simple, but it teaches you a lot, right?
Uh-huh.
Uh, and it's kind of like you're studying real life motion, but you're also taking into account how to make something look better as an animation, if that makes sense. It's a kind of mix of the two, and it's a really good way of getting at things, right? So first frame here, right? You see this little ball bitch, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna make him bounce. We're gonna make him go boing 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 boing, right?
Uh-huh.
And how do we do that? Well, obviously the ball has to move. So I'm gonna add a few frames of just it sitting there. You know, just lay the groundwork of just this guy sitting here like a little bitch. I'm manually
Uh-huh.
adding these frames because I'm an idiot, right? So we got like what, you know, just that of the ball sitting there. So how's about we get him moving, right? Add after, and you see this effect here where it's kind of like the ghost of the ball. That's your onion skinning, and you'll see this in pretty much every form of animation: 2D, stop motion, 3D, whatever. You know, even like a blend of all three, you'll see that. And right, simply, I'm gonna start off small. I'm just gonna very rough. Like the ball doesn't need to be consistent for the kind of tutorial to work. It's just whatever, right? I'm just gonna, you know, ball's moving a wee bit, right? You know, he moves a wee bit,
Uh-huh.
and I'm gonna keep adding frames. And this is the first kind of rule which I think people kind of miss out on, but it's what makes animation look really nice and smooth. You want to start off slow, little kind of movements, little, you know, just kind of, you know, he's kind of inching. Like think of it like the ball's moving a few inches up, right? Whatever. But as each frame or so progresses, you're gonna want him to slowly, you know, inch further and further. With each new frame, he moves up. You know, he moves a further distance than before. I don't know why the ball was a guy. I trying to personify him. So you notice here,
Uh-huh.
you know, with onion skinning on, the ball, you know, it's getting further and further. Because the difference here, a little bit, difference here is much more, and that is called ease in and ease out, right? So at the start, it was kind of going nice and easy, but now we're making him bounce. It's easing out. It's going, right? So you can kind of see. Maybe I want to speed it up a little bit because that looks a bit slow. It looks as if he's kind of just flying. So now, actually, that looks smelly. Let me redo that. And it's okay to redo things, by the way, because you're gonna learn that a lot of more complicated shapes. But I'm gonna start doing the technique of squash and stretch, right? And that's your kind of golden ticket here. That's gonna make things a lot better. The ease in ease out thing, that was more for realism, kind of motion looking nice. But that squash and stretch, this is the kind of cartoony stuff. This is where the ball's going quick, so it kind of bends and it morphs, and it looks nice as it's kind of going. You know, it's moving in this arc, it's bouncing up, so it's kind of it's like it's I can do better than that. Maybe I shouldn't have recorded this tutorial when I was a wee bit off doing 2D animation, but it's kind of going. What? You know, it's kind of it's moving
Uh-huh.
a good decent bit, right? And just gonna kind of more. What is that? Maybe I'm talking too much and all the brain power's going in my mouth, but you kind of want to just have it go like, "Whoop," and it kind of maybe stays up in the air for a few more frames. You know, ease out again. Maybe for just a few more frames, it kind of just hovers there for a second. Or yeah, maybe it kind of turns a wee bit normal again because you see more frames of it. You don't want your squash and stretch to stay in the frame for too much, you know, because if a smear frame, whatever, if you know what those are, if that stays in the frame for too long, it's gonna look funny. So maybe it just looks a little bit normal again. It it's kind of it's falling a little bit. It's good that arc, but let's get it falling again now. Much more of a difference. That's the thing. Animation takes such a long time. It's a skill to keep talking and rambling on for this long. A little bit of squash and stretch again. Whoa. Whoa. And it's gonna kind of just, let's just say the floor's here. It's gonna kind of just go whoop, like a little I don't even know what you call that shape, like a little kidney bean.
Sure.
And it'll hit the ground and then kind of just bounce back up again. Because I think one thing, right? A lot of artists seem to not like people using reference or that kind of stuff. But animators, right? You got to get that out of your head, because looking at real life stuff is really important. If you can't figure out how something moves in animation, you really need to study it. Otherwise, that connect wouldn't necessarily be there. I'm gonna redo that one, make it bounce up a little bit more, just for that sense of realism. Because as you do this, you picture the ball bouncing your head over and over again. That's a good kind of little mental exercise kind of thing. And he bounces up very so slightly, because when a ball bounces, it goes up really high and then it kind of hits the ground and goes dun 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 dun, like that. But I'll do that for a few frames. Does anyone have anything to say, Martin? Like what's in your mind? Because we've got a wee captive audience here.
I like how you're using different shapes to mimic the ball bounce. I never thought of that.
Oh yeah. That's why the wee ball trick is just so deceptively clever. Because you don't think about it until it happens, and then when that you've got that kind of mindset, you realize things start to really click. It's like a whole new kind of world opens.
I just really like squash. What's the term called? Is it
Squash and
squash
stretch.
and stretch? Yeah, squash and stretch.
He's a good one.
It's a great one.
Just have it kind of roll a wee bit. I know I've went from this end of the canvas all the way over here, and that looks quite nice. I've made this pretty rough. The ball keeps changing size and everything. That's something you got to take in consideration, scale and reference and all that. But hopefully I have no fudge this and I don't look like a total idiot.
Sometimes, it's also good to remember that, it doesn't have to be great.
I mean, if you want a job in the animation industry, you need to hold standards for yourself. But there is something also in, very expressive, non-conforming animation. I think that's kind of overlooked sometimes. But it should look... Yeah, it should look something like that. I think some of the squash and stretch is a bit rough. But you get what I'm trying to say here, right? It goes in this big arc and then falls over there.
Yeah.
How are we feeling about that? Did I get my kind of point across?
Yeah, you got your point across.
Right. And I'm thinking, maybe I'm overdoing this. But what if we applied another rule here? What if we gave this guy a little bit of what's it called? A little bit of characterization, a little bit of silly to him. And I thought, how you do that? You personify him. You know what we're gonna do?
Huh.
We're gonna give him a little name and a face. This is we'll call him Hefe, right? And just because I like Noodle Vision, I'm gonna draw his face on each individual frame, because sometimes little squiggle vision looks nice. You ever seen what's it called? Home Movies? That was a good cartoon. Alright, while I'm doing that, again, any kind of observations or anything? Huh?
I feel like adding imperfections, like what you just said about having the mouth little squiggly, it looks like a bit something like that. How an edit and eddy.
Yeah,
the
that's
line
squiggle vision, or at least what people kind of coined it as. It's your kind of frame by frame, not everything is the same kind of what's it called? Consistency, I guess. So I get distracted because now our little guy's moving, and I think it'd be funny if, like, as you know, you get a little bit upset by being bounced about. And this is your squash and stretch really coming to effect here. This is your smear frames. Because while the ball kind of went like that, his face is really going to stretch. Otherwise, it would look kind of funny. So he's going to be kind of very, very basic, but he's going to be kind of morphing, you know, with the shape. And it's a funny excuse to go like, well,
It's
make weird
it's
shit
a
like that.
very like fun excuse to like make like little funny faces.
Yeah, that's another thing, Ralph. That's a very good point. Have fun with it, because I think, right, you need your basic knowledge, you need your baseline, your foundations, right? But a very good rule, right?
Mhm.
If it looks funny or looks cool, fuck that you're halfway there, aren't you? Like, you know, if I think if it gets a reaction, then wow, you know, you kind of just have to perfect the formula, and
Oh yeah.
you're there. Because I think you can make the most well animated thing with the most complicated characters, fluid 60 frames a second animation, whatever you want to call it, right? But if it doesn't get that kind of that feel, if it doesn't have that kind of visual flair, if it doesn't, you know, look funny or anything, or it doesn't have to look funny if you know what I mean. Like, it's not like all cartoons need to be silly, haha, funny cartoons, but like if it
It
doesn't, you
has to have
know,
character.
yeah, character, and I guess that's what we're kind of doing with this ball here, aren't we?
Yeah, but I like the little faces that you're drawing on it. It's pretty funny.
And I'm just going to compress them a little bit after we stretch them. Have them roll about. This may be a bit tricky, just kind of keeping the face consistent. But onion skinning is wonderful. This is another actual good little tip. You notice how I'm drawing the face after I did the ball thing?
Yes.
Yeah, you don't want to draw the character all in one go. Like, doing these kind of things in segments is a beautiful thing. Like, that's why you have animators with very specific jobs, like lip sync. I suppose there's kind of like people with very specific jobs, like say a character has, you know, extra arms or like they've got armor. You would maybe have someone in charge of that. Like, you don't like feel the need you have to like do everything on the one go in the same kind of like layer. It's a bit like digital art where like you don't color everything in the same like layer or whatever, and you definitely don't animate with colors in the same layer. That's for sure. There are colorists, and that's a very important job. It used to be a very important job, like more than ever back in the day when it was cel shaded animation. But now it's digital, and I think they have a lot more kind of freedom and less stress of digital coloring, which is a good thing because, God, I do not envy those guys who were working over in sweatshops with animation back in the day. Yeesh.
Oh yeah. Animation's always been such an interesting thing. I sometimes see clips from like animations that people have done, and just all the effort that they put into it is just incredible.
Yeah, like, you know, the visual medium, it is just like, it's made to impress and like wow you, but when you realize, you know, like, how did they do that? I think that kind of makes you appreciate it more, but also it has you kind of like thinking like, you know, how did they do that? Maybe I could learn to do that. And I think that's how a lot of people start. You know, that's how a lot of kind of kids think like, hey, wait a minute, someone sits down and draws SpongeBob for like 8 trillion frames. How do they manage that? Like, as a kid, here's the funny thing. If we're talking about artists with specific jobs, as a kid, I genuinely thought every frame was drawn by hand, all in the same layer. Like, if you had like a cartoon character, multiple of them against a background, I thought they had to get it like no squiggle version, no squiggle version. Give me a minute, no squiggle vision, like perfect frame by frame, and I thought like animators' lives were a living hell, which they are, but at least it's not as bad as that, you know.
Oh yeah.
I want to see how this wee guy looks at the face. Then it might not be perfect, but whoa! Yeah, that adds more to it, doesn't it? Just see his wee face stretch.
Yeah, I really like that. That's a pretty good job.
I'm trying to think now. Is there anything more I could add to this without just starting a whole new animation?
Color?
Color. Okay, color. We could be here for a while, but let's start a new layer for color. Why not? How do I start? Trying to remember how you start a new layer on this. I haven't used this. Sync layers. I haven't used this in ages, so I'm just trying to figure out how you do
Wouldn't you go
layers.
into file and then
Oh no, layers are just within the actual thing. I'm trying to
Oh,
find
okay.
out- Man, I might have to smash cut to me figuring out how to do the next layer. Hold on. How do you? It's been ages. Tell you what, we'll cheese it. No wait, no we won't. That's the background layer. Do you actually? You know what? Let's do a little background layer, just to save me time as I figure out how on earth I'm supposed to work the layers in this. Well, yeah, what you want in the background? Should we do a wee floor first?
Sure.
Just yeah. Right. How do I draw the background? Or can I just go like that? All right. Let's get something a bit more straight. Maybe just like that. I was gonna try and change the color, but all right, never mind. I figured it out. I'm learning with you guys. That's the background color, and this is the this is the paint color. Cool. I was just gonna change it so not to clash with this guy here. Backgrounds. I see a lot of cartoons nowadays. They don't do their backgrounds any favor, and they make them very kind of hard to read against the characters. They kind of contrast, not in a good way. Just do that. It looks nice. It's a kind of nice grey. Black character stands out better. And it should look nice when we play a little guy. Yep. Yeah. See, you can still keep focus to the guy with the background there. Right. Now I'm gonna do the hard part to figure out how to work layers here and color this guy. Fucking modify layers. There you go. That took me a minute to find out. Right. And you might color him red. Maybe a nice kind of
Yeah.
that color. Yeah.
Make
sure.
him green. Make him green. Green.
Green. All right. Red or green? What you thinking?
As much as, that's tempting, I guess we can go with green.
I'd say do the opposite of what Ralph said.
So red.
Green. Green.
Again, the opposite of what he said.
Green, green, green.
I think we're gonna go for green though. That's democracy in effect there.
God damn it.
Let's make him neon green.
Still
And-
salty about the green screen.
Yep. I have trauma from it, believe me.
Oh, trust me, we all get trauma from animation. But since this is the actual animation layer is the layer above, and the coloring layers below, we can color them without worrying about going out the lines, and hopefully we can just maybe I'll speed this up in post production, but we can just color this guy in, and that should be, unless I miss a bit, that should look nice in a minute. I'm kind of one of those guys who colors by hand. I don't like the paint bucket tool. It's something much more satisfying about doing it by hand, isn't it? If it brings you back to being a wee baba with a colouring in book.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll just speed this bit up if I ever make a video out of this. Feel free to talk about whatever you want. Honestly, I'm just colouring in right now.
Love cartoons.
We love cartoons.
And I love making,
Animation Gang.
I love making cartoons too.
Cartoons are very swag. Actually, Ralph, this kind of ties into that Boo cartoon you want to make.
Yeah. I'm very excited to make that with you.
if you're seeing how long it takes to just colour in a fucking basic ball with a smiley face, you're going to realise how much work we have ahead of us.
And that's the fun part.
No, it's not. I want to go home. I don't want to animate anymore.
I'm sorry, how was that in any way a fun part, Ralph?
I'm a sadist.
Okay, true. That means he's going to be a good animator if he sticks with it.
Ah, perfect.
You need a hint of masochism to be an animator. Let's be real. Just a dash of it. Maybe not too much before it becomes concerning, but you know what I mean. I'm surprised I'm not colored at the lines yet. Maybe I should, just to save time, I should make my brush size a little bit bigger. Oh, I forgot it's like this where it's pixel size. That sucks.
What program is this?
This is Rough Animator. You can. It's like £5. And, it's semi-reliable. I've seen people have trouble with it before, but it's been alright for me for very basic animations.
Would you say this is like Flash or something like that? Similar?
I don't think it's as sophisticated as Flash, especially the old versions of Flash. But it's good if you want to make like a little doodle. I think look at what the industry standard is, right? See if it's Adobe. Be skeptical. But if it's not Adobe, see how much it is. See if there's a sale. And you know,
Animation Standard Program.
you're gonna get a few results because everyone's different, and like you have all these people around the world, you know, trying to sort it out. But
Toon Boom.
Toon Boom's a good one. You can learn that. I know someone who learned that in like a week for a job when they were fine. They're part of the industry. I don't know them. I just heard the story, but you know.
There's Adobe Character Animator.
Fun story actually. Adobe Character Animator. I'm pretty sure it was either Character Animator or Animate. They used for Key and Carlisle's Transformers Combaticons. So seeing what the team had did with that, that's a fair shout. Am I gonna have to keep in this coloring segment because I'm giving off like actual good advice during this bit.
Like cut out the boring parts and like keep in like the parts that like we were talking about animation and stuff.
Yeah, fair
There's
enough.
Powtoon. There's Blender, but that's for 3D.
Blender, you can do 2D in Blender. Like, there is a shocking amount of 2D done in Blender. You ever seen Worthy Kids? He's really good.
Yeah.
He's
He's great.
I think he does pretty much everything in Blender. And
Like some of his stuff looks like stop motion, and it like confuses me.
Yeah. I know he mixes media a lot, and I think mixed media, especially nowadays, coming off a lot of your boom with Spider-Verse and your stuff like Gumball, that's definitely something to consider nowadays, especially how Blender is free. You know, there's so much of a kind of community around it. Definitely take into consideration mixed media. But for all intents and purposes, this is me messing around with 2D because I like my traditional animation. Also, I'm scared of 3D. And if you ever
I've tried 3D.
If you ever see me doing a 3D animation tutorial here one day, know that I have conquered my fears and I am the bravest soul of all. But I don't know if that's ever gonna happen.
I could do one. Well, maybe. I don't know. Because I've tested out with 3D.
I'm qualified. My college gave me an A. I'm qualified.
No, I just fucked around with Sourceful Maker.
Because I know that anonymous guy, he actually got a gig for a Taco Bell ad using like just proper like SFM. Like he made all the assets, but it was made in SFM, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's a shame because he, in the past, he did that for Adult Swim. He made all the assets for a SFM video, but I think they just never ended up using that bump. He put it up online anyway, which is good because lost animation. That really is a crime. Just seeing that beautiful stuff get like put to waste and lost forever. That's
Bummer.
You should be put in Guantanamo Bay for that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I've recorded this, but I'm not sure where I would put it up. If I would start a new channel, or if I would just put it in the second one, or maybe even do it in the main one, like Matt said.
I think the main one.
Good way to promote.
Blender. Maya, ZBrush.
Maya, I think they do all the Transformers movies with Maya. I know back, see when The Last Night was getting made,
Yeah.
and there was the kind of leaked Cheetor concept art.
Yeah.
I know for sure that was done in Maya. I'm not sure about the rest, but I'm gonna assume that like it's Maya or something, some kind of equivalent.
There's also like Cinema 4D, but that's like way too expensive.
I had that installed on my computer and I didn't even realize. That's a weird story. But it wasn't for anything like special. It was just it was to rotate the canvas in Photoshop and this other like drawing thing I have. I was like, what the fuck? Because I think I was clearing and like making space in this computer, and I saw Cinema 4D. I was like, oh, huh?
Hmm.
What?
It's
the
an alright
fish?
program, but it's like, I don't know.
All right, and with that, our little, I guess, P should be animated. Let's see what that looks like.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's come a long way in like what 15 minutes. You know, we've got a little background where he rolls. We've got a bit of color to him. It looks better, doesn't it? Even if it's pretty rough around the edges. I
It
think
looks
that's
very
good.
nice.
I think for a wee what half an hour tutorial, that's a pretty good spot to end off on. That's pretty good, yeah. He's happy.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if I'll do more of these, but I hope this has kind of gauged interest. If anyone sees in the future, I hope this did something for you, even if it's like ABC 1 2 3, very basic. Thank you for watching. Very big kisses, Teehee. Oh, and thanks for being here, by the way, live studio audience.
Yeah, no problem.
No
Fuck
problem.
you, Ralph.
No problem.